Hey YouTube, Scotty B here. Just gonna do a overview video of the 6.2 GM diesel or Detroit diesel. These are found in the Chevy Cut V's, a lot of the light duty trucks that General Motors made, Chevy Square Bodies, GMCs. They're also found in vans, delivery trucks, Humvees, I mean everything. So, you know, there's a lot of, these engines get a bad rap. And I used to believe the same negative statements about them too. You know, that they're boat anchors, they're worthless, they're junk, you know, just swap them out, they're not worth it. And so to give you guys just a quick, you know, my experience with this engine, I think they're pretty solid engines. They're not the fastest thing in the world, but they're durable. They'll get the job done. And a lot of these engines get a bad rap, and it's kind of unfair. You know, and to compare them to a modern diesel, I mean, you know, these things are 40 years old. It's kind of silly. I mean, yeah, I would hope a brand new diesel or a newer truck would be able to outpower this thing. I mean, it would make sense, right? But these things are still valid today. And, you know, to say that they're garbage and they shouldn't, you know, you shouldn't use it, you should just replace it is, I don't think that's true. I mean, you don't have the numbers you can brag about, but honestly, this thing gets the job done. It has hauled everything I wanted it to haul, and I think it has potential to be a very reliable platform. And from people that I've talked to that had these, it's like you either love them or you hate them. But a lot of people have told me they've gotten like 3, 4, 500,000 miles out of these things, and they're simple. I mean, I've had the top of the engine of this pulled apart, and just to let you guys know, you know, if you're thinking of getting one of these, or you have one, and you need resources, these books from the diesel pages, or the diesel page, I'm sorry, www.thedieselpage.com. They sell a whole series of books just on the 6.2 diesel and 6.5 diesels, and these books helped me a lot. So if you guys are thinking of tearing into it, maybe you're not sure, and you're like, you know, I don't even know where to begin to diagnose this thing, I'm not sure, and you go to look for a shop, and shops don't want to touch it because it's too old. Honestly, those books helped me. They answered every question I had, and I pulled the top of mine apart, redid the whole fuel system, and I never worked on a diesel before. I mean, I went to school, tech school, and I learned about the fundamentals, but actually putting a wrench on one, I never did. So this is the first diesel that I've owned and first diesel that I've worked on. These things are extremely simple. I mean, that's what I like about them. Most of the problem you're going to have with any of these, you can have cracks in the blocks and cracks in the head. I mean, or you know, the crankshaft can crack, but for a standpoint of just simplicity, I'm just going to go over that, like some basic maintenance items. If you get one of these, you know, these things are old now. They're getting up there in age where, you know, getting one turnkey and running it down the road, you might not be, you know, perfect out the gate. You might have to do some repair work. So your injection pump right here, it does the job of, like if it was a gas engine, it would do the job of the distributor, the carburetor. So on a diesel, you don't have a distributor, you don't have spark plugs. So this does your timing, your fueling, and makes the magic happen to make this thing run. So basically, if you have problems running, I mean, and this thing's leaking, you might want to think about doing a rebuild. Also, your injectors along here on the side of the block, you have 8 injectors. It's an 8-cylinder engine, 4 on either side. If you're pulling the fuel system apart, you might as well get your injectors tested. If your injectors are, I mean, mine were leaking, they failed bad, and just by simply doing the injection pump and my injectors, I got better gas mileage, better power. I mean, it's like a brand new truck the way it runs. Yeah, the other things I did is I pulled the heads off because I was like, you know what, I might as well have the heads looked at. This thing's supposed to have low miles. Heads were in great shape, so I regasketed them, cleaned up and did some RTV on the valve cover gaskets, because the cork gaskets, I mean, if you have older engines, you probably know they don't really seal up too well or last long, really. But yeah, I mean, these things are pretty simple, and you have your CDR valve over here. These are hard to find. They're kind of becoming an obsolete item. You can clean them. I saw a YouTube video, a dude did like Dawn dish soap and hot water, and he like just kind of mixed it around and cleaned it until it came out clean, and then let it dry, and air, kind of compressed air, cleaned it off. I did that with my old one. I bought another one just to have a backup. and this one works fine. So yeah, you can still find some parts. Some stuff is becoming obsolete. Your high idle switch here, high idle switch, or everyone's got their own terminology for it. Most of the time, the little wire in this breaks. You can solder it back together, and you can just bench test it on a 12-volt battery to make sure it works. It just goes in and out. It's a simple mechanism. The glow plug system, it's very basic. You can wire in your own switch if you want to. I put my truck back to keep it factory. I wanted to make sure that I had all the systems working before I start modifying things. That's just how I like to do things. But the glow plug system is extremely simple. You have a coolant switch in the back driver's side rear head that will tell you the temperature for the glow plugs to go on and off. The temperature sensor for your high idle switch is on the lower end of the head on the passenger side. It's kind of hard you can't see it from here, but you can find it if you have one of these and you want to work on it. I also did a coolant upgrade. A lot of people, they bring up the cooling system with this. Keeping these things cool is an issue. They run kind of hot to begin with. Usually they have like a 195 degree thermostat. That's what I put in this when I redid the cooling system. I recommend that you look into one of these. It's made by Paradox by Design. It's a cooling upgrade kit. Basically what it does is it balances the temperature of the engine. It taps in 2 hoses into the rear of each head. There's a little block off plate, and they have their own kit, and it taps a hose in, and then it comes back here and pops it right down into around the thermostat. Why that's important is that the back of the heads get very hot. Back of the engine gets warm. There's not a lot of circulation there. So what this does is it just helps circulate some of the coolant back to the front of the engine. I've heard some people say this doesn't work. It's a gimmick. I didn't really test anything before I got it, but I can tell you, driving my truck in the summer, it was always very, very warm down there by where the back of the engine is, by the floor and underneath the dash. And it just was always hot there. And ever since I've done this, like, it's cooler over there. I don't have a problem with this thing warming up. It still warms up in colder weather fine. I still have good heat. They talk about this on their website, is that your engine cooling system is more stabilized, so therefore your mechanical fan, the fan clutch doesn't kick on as much, so you're not running your fan. I think they make, I don't quote me 100%, but I think it's like 40%, turns on 40% less, and you'll get a gas mileage boost. But with mine, with the turbo 400 and the 456 gears, I'm getting like 15 miles a gallon consistently, like no matter how I drive it. So I don't know if that was because of this or because of, rehabbing the fuel system, I got my gas mileage back, but it, the things that I've done to this, it runs great, carries all the firewood I need to carry, carries dirt, gravel, anything I need to throw in the bed. And you're not going to win any races, but it's a truck. It's a light duty engine. It's a working vehicle. It's not meant to be a race car or something. But going back to these things getting a bad rap, you got to kind of know the history. So, like, General Motors back in the day, Ford and Dodge, they didn't just design big engines to be slow. Like, I've heard a lot of younger guys, and they're like, oh, my uncle has a, 75, Monte Carlo, and it only makes 160 horsepower, and it's like, well, those are smog motors. If you've seen my other video about why new cars suck, I talk about a lot of the regulations that the government places on the auto industry. And back in the 70s, the smog laws came into effect. There was also the OPEC oil embargo, so gas was expensive. There were waiting lines. So when the emissions laws hit, they had to tune down the engines. It wasn't like the late 60s, the muscle car heyday, where you could get a big block making almost 400 horsepower. Those days were gone. They had to tune the engines down, so they made less horsepower and put out less smog, less emissions. So also, when they designed this, probably they were designing this in the late 70s, because this came out in 82 was the first year the 6.2 diesel was available in a truck. Now, that was fresh in everyone's heads, the oil embargo, smog laws. So General Motors' goal plan was to build something that was fuel efficient, like a 305 V8, yet had the torque like a 350. that was kind of their goal. They knew that the 455 gas motor was going to be that was the sledgehammer. So they wanted something that would have, get good fuel economy on a cheaper fuel like diesel fuel, and that was their goal. And honestly, they were successful. I mean, look at the numbers. The fuel economy on these, especially if you have like a 700R, you look at these trucks, they're shaped like bricks. And I've seen guys say that they've gotten like 22, 23 miles a gallon out of one of those with an automatic transmission that has an overdrive. To me, that's impressive, especially with older technology. So you can get good gas mileage out of these. I mean, are you going to tow 15,000, 20,000 pounds with this? I mean, you probably could, but not regularly, not like a modern truck would. But I've heard guys that have towed like 10,000 pounds, they've done it. I'm not saying go ahead and do it. Usually I think the tow specs for this one through the military is only 3,500 pounds. Funny thing though is in the technical service manuals there is a illustration and a way of towing an airplane on a flat runway. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so you have to understand the history of these, why some of these engines were smogged out and had lower power, and you can unlock that power. There's ways to turn up the pump. In those books that I just showed, they talk about performance upgrades. Get more power out of these. So you can get more power out of these. And the 6.5 is very similar. That's got a turbocharger, so it's got a power boost there, and you can get power out of those as well. I just think they're misunderstood, and there's a lot of negative sentiment from a lot of the older guys. You have to understand, so my uncle had one of these, and all he did was say how it was the worst decision he ever had buying one. But those guys grew up with gas engines. They grew up with carburetors. So to them, having to work on a diesel or that was different, it was confusing. And they didn't have the internet back then. Like if you either had to know someone that knew it, or you had to take it to a shop, and if they didn't know it, that's kind of why I think these got really a bad rap, in my opinion. But honestly, I'm happy with it. I'm going to keep playing with it and driving it and using it. And if everyone ends up being right about it, that it's a horrible engine and it blows up, I will just maybe drop a different engine in it. But that's the beauty of the General Motors design of, partsman mentality that GM had, of things being swappable, things being similar. So, another thing, another failure for you guys, the engine mounts on these. They're very similar to your regular 350 mount or the big block mount. This one uses the 350 clamshell engine mounts. Get the ones from Energy Suspension. It's a bit of a bear sometimes to get the engine lifted and get your hands in there to pull those mounts out. But yeah, when the mounts fail, this thing will shake and do all sorts of stuff. You'll feel it through the cab. And you'll notice too, if your exhaust manifold is like barely a finger's width between the frame, yeah, you need new engine mounts, even if they don't look cracked. And harmonic balancer, when I got this truck, I had people tell me make sure the harmonic balancer's not bad. That is down on the crank pulley. It's behind the pulley on the crank. If you can see the rubber, if it's not cracked, it's good to go. I would say just by age, just replace it. Just put one on. Because mine I thought was good, and then I pulled it off, and there were cracks. There was actually a bunch of dirt, and it was filling the cracks, and I couldn't notice. Even after wiping it with the rag, you couldn't tell. And then the flywheel on these are known to crack, and they'll make all sorts of noise. Mine, I replaced it because there was teeth missing. Must have been a mishap with the starter. So every once in a while, you'd go to start the truck, and you would just hear the starter try to engage, and you're like, oh. So I had to go do the old, bring a wrench with me that was the size for the crank bolt, and I would turn it a little bit so the teeth could engage, and then start the truck, and it would work. But you can replace that relatively easy. It was kind of a project, but you can get the transmission to literally unbolt, and you can get it to slide rearward on some longer bolts that go between the bell housing and the engine block, and you can replace it. And that book that tells you how to do it too. They give you all the specs and everything. And the flywheel wasn't hard to get, or I should say flex plate. Manual has a flywheel. Automatic has a flex plate. But yeah, so that's just some things that you guys, if you guys are interested in one of these engines or you're thinking about buying one, just my experience that I've had with it. I think they're good, but you know, they're older, so you might have to put some time and effort getting it cleaned up and running well. And honestly, I think it's worth it. I mean, she gets up to 45 real quick, so hauls what I need it to do, and it's simple engine. There's no computers. It just does what it needs to do. So you guys, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Leave comments if you guys have had one of these 6.2s, or if, you know, tell me your experience with it. I want to hear about it. Then again, thank you. Have a good evening.